Hello and welcome to the news tonight, your one stop for the day's top stories. Let's start with the headlines. GDP growth figures for the July-September quarter of 2017-18 are released. Economy registers a growth rate of 6.3% over the corresponding quarter of the previous year. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says he is ready to pay a political price in order to fight corruption, asserted that his government has brought about systemic changes in the country. Security forces shoot dead 4 militants in Budgam and 1 in Baramulla district of Jammu and Kashmir. Police officer sustains minor injuries. 2 civilians too are injured. And North Korea's state-run television network KRT on Thursday broadcasts footage of its leader Kim Jong-un monitoring the launch of the intercontinental ballistic missile. UN Security Council mulls more sanctions. Top story this evening, the Indian economy reversed a 5-quarter slide in GDP growth, bouncing back from a 3-year low. The country's GDP grew by 6.3% in the second quarter of the fiscal, up from 5.7% in the April-June quarter. The manufacturing sector fueled the surge with a growth of 7%, while services sector grew at 7.1%. The sectors that registered over 6% growth are manufacturing, electricity, gas, water supply and other utility services, and trade, hotels, transport and communication and services related to broadcasting. However, agricultural growth slumped to 1.7%.
As the uncertainties relating to GST implementation have worn out and companies have started buying post GST, the manufacturing output has picked up. A second element is that there has been a pickup of capital goods production that has also shown up in the IIP figures. All of this is principally the reason for good numbers in manufacturing. Construction is continues to be low, and at this stage all that I can say about construction is it's indicator driven based on indicators of steel and cement, and those numbers have not been showing that higher growth, and that's what is showing up in the construction side.
Well, the growth buoyancy has come as a shot in the arm for the Narendra Modi government, which has been fighting off charges that demonetization and GST launch disrupted the economy.
That perhaps the impact of 2 very significant structural reforms, demonetization and the GST, is now behind us, and hopefully in the coming quarters we can look for an upwards trajectory.
Well, the GDP data for September quarter has come on the same day that figures showed India's fiscal deficit at 96.1% of the budget estimate by the end of October. The fiscal deficit figures send the stock exchange into a tailspin, with the benchmark Sensex suffering its biggest single-day fall in 1 year. The Sensex plummeted over 453 points to close at 33,149, while the broader Nifty finished below the key 10,300 mark. Well, hours before the GDP figures were released, showing an economy that has bounced back from the effects of demonetization and the GST rollout, Prime Minister Narendra Modi defended the reforms carried out by his government. Listing out his government's achievements, the Prime Minister said that India has moved towards irreversible change.
जो पॉजिटिव एटीट्यूड हमारे देश में आया है, वो पहले कभी नहीं था.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi says he is ready to pay a political price in order to fight corruption. Speaking at the 15th Hindustan Times Leadership Summit, the Prime Minister also asserted that his government has brought about systemic changes in the country.
ज्यादातर खरीद फरोख्त पैसे के लेन देन का एक टेक्निकल और डिजिटल एड्रेस होने लग गया. उस दिन से ऑर्गेनाइज करप्शन काफी हद तक थम जाएगा. कि जो कदम मैं उठा रहा हूं, जिस रास्ते पर मैं चल पड़ा हूं, और देश को जिस मंजिल पर पहुंचाने का मकसद लेकर के निकला हूं, इसकी कितनी बड़ी राजनीतिक कीमत चुकानी पड़ेगी, इसका मुझे भला भारा अंदाज है, लेकिन मैं इसके लिए तैयार हूं।
Referring to demonetization, the Prime Minister said it had brought about a behavioral change in the country, while GST had ushered in a new chapter of transparency.
डिमोनेटाइजेशन के बाद देश में जिस तरह का बिहेवियरल चेंज आया है, उसे आप स्वयं भी महसूस करते होंगे। स्वतंत्रता के बाद पहली बार ऐसा हुआ है जब भ्रष्टाचारियों को काले धन के लेन देन से पहली बार डर लगने लगा है, उनमें पकड़े जाने का भय आया है। जो काला धन पहले पैरेलल इकोनॉमी का आधार था, वो डीमोनेटाइजेशन के बाद फॉर्मल इकोनॉमी का हिस्सा बना है। जीएसटी से भी देश में ट्रांसपेरेंसी का एक नया अध्याय शुरू हुआ है। ज्यादा से ज्यादा व्यापारी भी इस ईमानदार सिस्टम से जुड़े हुए हैं।
He also listed the achievements of his government in a range of sectors, describing Aadhaar as a major power to bring about an irreversible change in the common man's life. The Prime Minister said that the unique identification number will now be used in cases involving Benami properties.
पिछले 3 वर्षों में आधार की मदद से करोड़ों फर्जी नाम से जो काम चाले जाते थे, यानी ऐसी विधवाओं को पेंशन मिलता था जिस बेटी का कभी जन्म भी नहीं हुआ था। फर्जी नाम से उन सारी चीजों को हटाया गया है। इस आधार का उपयोग बेनामी संपत्ति के खिलाफ भी किया जाएगा। ये बहुत बड़ा हथियार बनने वाला है।
In his concluding remarks, the Prime Minister also invoked late President APJ Abdul Kalam, urging the media to give up negativity and focus instead on positive developments. This, he said, would help give direction to the country. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, responding to Prime Minister Modi's calling the Congress's stand on GST a grand stupid thought, quote unquote, former Finance Minister and senior Congress leader P. Chidambaram has defended the party. Chidambaram has said that if the Congress stand is stupid, then so is the centre's chief economic advisor Arvind Subramanian, as he also advocates a GST rate of 18%. In a series of tweets, Chidambaram questioned whether the Prime Minister had read the chief economic advisor's report on revenue neutral rate, where he recommended R&R to be between 15 and 15.5%. Chidambaram also questioned the government for failing to reduce fuel prices even when the international crude oil prices fell by about 50%. And more war of words, of course, as the Gujarat elections near. Let's get you more updates from there. Well, in Gujarat, the second day of the ongoing campaign, Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi addressed public meetings in Lathi, Botad and Bhavnagar today. Addressing a crowd in Amreli, Rahul Gandhi questioned the BJP government's track record and said that everyone in Gujarat is opposing the regime except a handful of Modi supporters. He also met and interacted with a delegation of traders in Amreli to discuss issues that they are facing.
ये 5 गांव हैं जिनकी पूरी की पूरी जमीन, मतलब 1 इंच जमीन नहीं छोड़ी, पूरी की पूरी जमीन टाटा नैनो को दी। यहां जो लोग रहते थे उनको मोदी जी ने वायदा किया कि अपनी जमीन दे दो, अपना पानी दे दो, अपनी बिजली दे दो, अपनी जिंदगी दे दो, हम तुम्हें रोजगार देंगे नैनो फैक्ट्री में। इनमें से एक व्यक्ति को नैनो फैक्ट्री में रोजगार नहीं मिला।
Rahul also visited the Gopinathji Mandir in Gujarat's Botad district. The two-phase Gujarat elections are scheduled for 9th and the 14th of December, while counting will take place on the 18th of December. In other news, 5 militants were gunned down by security forces in 2 separate encounters in Jammu and Kashmir on Thursday. Meanwhile, for the first time in 7 years, the number of militants killed in encounters in Jammu and Kashmir has crossed 200.
Security forces have gunned down 5 militants in Jammu and Kashmir, 4 in Budgam and 1 in Baramulla district. A cordon and search operation was launched in these 2 districts after security forces received information about the presence of militants. The militants opened fire on security forces who retaliated, triggering a fierce gun battle.
With army, police, Budgam, CRPF, it was launched in the morning, and the moment cordon was established on that particular house, the militants started firing on the search parties. So it's basically a huge house. That's why it took some time to neutralize these militants.
There were 4 terrorists in this house. One was a local, Sabir of Tukurpura, and 3 were foreign terrorists of Pakistan origin. 3 bodies have been recovered, and the 4th terrorist probably he got trapped in the house when the house caught fire in the exchange of fire. This group was in this area for last about more than 2 months. It is definitely a big success as there are continuous inputs coming that number of jazz fidaying groups are operating in the area. So as per our inputs, there could be 1 or 2 more group of jazz still operating in the area, and we are tracking them also very closely.
A police officer also sustained minor injuries during the operation, while 2 civilians were hurt in the encounter. With the 5 deaths on Thursday, the total number of militants killed so far this year in Jammu and Kashmir has reached 200. State police considers this as a huge landmark in the path towards peace and stability in the valley. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Bollywood director Sanjay Leela Bhansali met a parliamentary standing committee on Thursday to discuss the controversy surrounding his new movie Padmavati. The 30-member parliamentary panel on information technology is headed by BJP MP Anurag Thakur and includes L.K. Advani, Raj Babbar and Paresh Rawal as its members. Earlier in the day, CBFC chief Prasoon Joshi met the Lok Sabha Committee on Petitions and said that the film has not yet been cleared by the censor board. Joshi explained that the CBFC had only cleared the trailer and promos of Padmavati. The period drama, which stars Deepika Padukone, Ranveer Singh and Shahid Kapoor in lead roles, has been facing protests from the Karni Sena for allegedly distorting historical facts. The film, which was supposed to be released on the 1st of December, has been deferred by the producers till they receive a certificate from the CBFC. In more national news, heavy rain hammered coastal Tamil Nadu on Thursday as a depression in the Bay of Bengal turned into a cyclonic storm called Cyclone Oki. The Weather Office said that the cyclone is headed west towards Lakshadweep, which means it is unlikely to make a landfall in Tamil Nadu. However, as a precautionary measure, schools in 7 districts of the state, including Tirunelveli and Kanyakumari, were closed. 2 teams of the National Disaster Response Force have been sent to Kanyakumari, while another team of 47 personnel will be on standby in Kochi, in Kerala, to help out in Lakshadweep if needed. Very heavy rain is forecast for South Tamil Nadu and South Kerala over the next 24 hours, forcing Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi to postpone his Kerala visit. A quick break here. Up next, we'll get you the top international stories and all the sports updates.
Judicial overreach is the main reason for this strain between the judiciary, legislature and the executive.
So some amount of friction is healthy to keep each other in check.
Right.
But if the healthy friction increases beyond a certain proportion, then it is no longer healthy.
PILs cannot become a substitute for governance.
Large number of those PILs are really motivated. They are not really espousing the cause of the poor and the downtrodden.
Judiciary is trying to break the legislature brick by brick, and it's like a tyranny of the unelected. Very strong words, coming out from inside the house.
Start building trust between each other. That's the only way. There is no dialogue.
Right.
Dialogue is necessary.
Watch To the Point with former Attorney General of India Mukul Rohatgi only on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching the news tonight. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu has called upon all countries and the United Nations to take strong steps to eliminate terrorism from the world. Delivering the Dr. Rajendra Prasad Memorial Lecture in New Delhi on Thursday, Vice President Naidu said that there is no place for violence in a democratic country. Naidu also said that violence could not bring about any positive change in the society, calling upon central and state governments for coordinated efforts against violence. The Vice President also hailed the Union government's efforts in making India a less cash economy and said that a digital India will only be possible if all villages of the country become digitally sound.
73rd वे 74th संशोधन के माध्यम से पंचायत राज स्थापना की गई। महिलाओं को 33% आरक्षण देकर पंचायत राज संस्थाओं का महिला की राजनीतिक सशक्तिकरण का माध्यम बनाया गया। इसी अनुभव को संसद और विधानसभाओं में भी लागू करने पर विचार करना चाहिए और जल्द से जल्द इस विषय में आगे बढ़ना चाहिए।
The Global Entrepreneurship Summit concluded in Hyderabad on Wednesday. On the final day, several panel discussions were held, including one on urban development models. The summit that saw the participation of 1,500 entrepreneurs from 170 countries has been termed a tremendous success by the US.
The Global Entrepreneurship Summit concluded in Hyderabad on Wednesday. The concluding day saw a discussion on the urban development models. Niti Aayog CEO Amitabh Kant said it was wrong to blindly copy Western models of development, saying India needed a newer, sustainable model.
The lesson for all of us in emerging countries, that's, the process of urbanization has ended in America, it's ended in Europe, it's nearing its completion in China. The process of urbanization has just begun in India. Next 5 decades, we'll do more urbanization than what we've done in the last 5,000 years. And the challenge is that we don't repeat the mistakes of the Western world.
Thursday also saw a discussion on media and entertainment. Prasar Bharati CEO Shashi Shekhar Vempati stressed on the need to use traditional media with social media to spread a message.
India today, it's a very young nation, and India's youth are constantly on their smartphones, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and all new platforms that we probably are not even fully aware of. And so it becomes very important to have that connect with the youth, capture their imagination and listen to them, engage with them, and respond to them very creatively.
This is the first time the Global Entrepreneurship Summit was held in South Asia. The 8th edition was jointly hosted by India and the US. The US State Department has termed the summit a tremendous success.
I think it is a tremendous success when we bring in 1,500 entrepreneurs from around the world. Our embassies helped nominate, if I understand that correctly, many of the entrepreneurs from around the world, picking entrepreneurs, saying, we would like to help you get to India to be able to talk about the great work that you're doing, the jobs that you are growing. Part of the theory behind that is women's empowerment and getting more women into the workforce, but helping them succeed in growing companies, finding investors for those companies. So we're very pleased with it that we brought in 1,500. More than half of those are women.
This year's summit was focused on women entrepreneurs. 1,500 entrepreneurs from 170 countries participated in the 3-day event. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And here's a quick look at what else made news across the country in Nationwide. The Indian Coast Guard apprehended 15 Pakistani fishermen and seized 2 of their boats after they allegedly ventured into Indian waters off the Gujarat coast on Thursday. The 2 Pakistani fishing boats, Al Najab and Al Siddiqui, were detected by a Coast Guard ship during a routine patrol. As per the information of the Coast Guard ship, an interceptor vessel was dispatched to the location, which was around 35 nautical miles off Meetha port of Kutch. Uttar Pradesh recorded the highest number of heinous crimes such as murder and those against women in 2016. Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh reported the highest incidence of rapes with 4,482 cases and 4,816 respectively, followed by Maharashtra at 4,189 last year. The ruling AIDMK announced E. Madhusudanan as its candidate for the December 21st RK Nagar Assembly by-poll. Madhusudanan, the party's presidium chairman, was the AIDMK's unanimous choice. His name was finalized from a list of aspirants who had applied expressing willingness to contest the by-polls. The Enforcement Directorate on Thursday conducted multiple searches in Delhi in connection with a 5,000 crore rupee money laundering probe against the directors and associates of the Gujarat-based pharma firm Sterling Biotech. Official sources said the raiding team seized documents and computer hardware from associates of the owners of the firm. International news now. In North Korea, state-run television network KRT on Thursday broadcast pictures and footage of its leader Kim Jong-un monitoring the launch of a Hwasong-15 missile. The country had on Wednesday successfully tested a new intercontinental ballistic missile, claiming that it can reach the US mainland. This was the highest and longest any North Korean missile had flown, landing in the sea near Japan. Meanwhile, members of the UN Security Council strongly condemned North Korea's latest missile launch during an emergency meeting in New York. While urging China to show leadership and follow through the crisis, US Ambassador to the UN Nikki Haley said that Kim Jong-un's actions have brought the world closer to war.
The dictator of North Korea made a choice yesterday that brings the world closer to war, not farther from it. We have never sought war with North Korea, and still today, we do not seek it. If war does come, it will be because of continued acts of aggression like we witnessed yesterday. And if war comes, make no mistake, the North Korean regime will be utterly destroyed.
And here are some more updates from across the world in Global Buzz. US President Donald Trump fired back at British Prime Minister Theresa May over her criticism of his retweeting of anti-Muslim videos. He said that May should focus on terrorism in Britain instead. The spat between the two leaders arose after Trump posted anti-Islam videos on Twitter, originally published by a leader of a far-right British party. May had criticized the move, calling it wrong. This is the first time Trump faced rebuke from an ally. A powerful storm along with heavy rains hit several parts of Sri Lanka, killing at least 4 people. The storm also disrupted air traffic and essential services. Flights also had to be diverted. Schools remained closed while houses were damaged and power supply hit. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe directed officials to pay 10,000 rupees as emergency assistance to the affected families. A suspected US drone strike targeted a hideout of the Haqqani militant network along Pakistan's border with Afghanistan, killing at least 4 militants. However, it is not confirmed that the drone belongs to the US, but if confirmed, it would be the 4th such American strike inside Pakistan since President Trump took office in January. During his 3-day visit to Bangladesh, Pope Francis called for decisive measures to resolve the political crisis that has caused Muslim refugees from Myanmar to flee to Bangladesh. In his speech, the Pope referred to the Rohingyas as the refugees from Rakhine State. He also called on countries to give immediate material assistance to help Bangladesh deal with the crisis. A Bosnian Croat war criminal died after drinking poison in a UN war crimes courtroom after losing an appeal against his 20-year prison term. Slobodan Praljak's courtroom suicide came in the final minutes as the verdict was announced. Judges ruled there had been a criminal conspiracy aimed at the ethnic cleansing of the Muslim population in parts of Bosnia in order to ensure Croat domination there. And finally, let's get you all the updates from the wall of sports in Sports Beat. Mirabai Chanu won a gold medal at the World Weightlifting Championship in Anaheim in the US, becoming the first Indian in over 2 decades to win a gold at the championship. Chanu lifted 85 kilograms in snatch and 109 kilograms in clean and jerk to manage a total of 194 kilograms in the women's 48 kilogram category. Before Chanu, Karna Mandeshwari had won the top prize twice in 1994 and 1995. Ace Indian shuttlers Kidambi Srikanth and PV Sindhu qualified for the Dubai Super Series finals, which will be the year-end finale for the top 8 ranked players. Srikanth won 4 Super Series events this year, which is more than any other men's singles player, and qualified at the 2nd spot. Sindhu won 2 Super Series crowns this year and qualified at 4th place. The ICC Under-19 Cricket World Cup was launched in New Zealand with 16 teams in the fray. West Indies are the current defending champions, while Australia and India are the most successful teams with 3 title wins each. The 44-day tournament hopes to shed light on several future stars who will compete across 4 cities and 7 venues from 13th of January to 3rd of February. Barcelona reached the last 16 of the Copa del Rey with an easy 5-0 win over Murcia. Paco Alcácer scored the opening for Barca in the first half, while Gerard Piqué, Alex Vidal, Denis Suarez and Jose Arnaiz scored after halftime to give Barca an 8-0 aggregate win against Murcia. With the win, Barcelona is in the race to become the first team to win 4 consecutive Copa del Rey titles. Syria's Omar Kraben and Australia's Samantha Kerr were crowned as the best players of the year at the annual Asian Football Confederation Awards. Omar became the first Syrian player to win the award. He scored 10 goals in the Asian Champions League to finish as the tournament's top scorer. In the women's category, 24-year-old Samantha Kerr took the leap ahead of Japan's Saki Kumagai and Sung Hyun Sim of North Korea. That's it on the news tonight. Thanks for joining us.